Stop before you spend that 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Check it one more time. This little 1-cent coin may look ordinary, but the date, mint mark, condition, and rare varieties can make a huge difference. Look closely under the date. Do you see a D, an S, or nothing at all? And don't clean it. Stay until the end, because I'll show you exactly what to look for on a 1946 Wheat Penny before you decide it's just another old coin. The coin number 1. Before you spend that old 1957 D Lincoln Wheat Penny, take a closer look. Most people see a 1-cent coin and immediately ignore it. But this little wheat penny has one detail that collectors always want to check, the tiny D mint mark. And here's the surprising part. A normal 1957 D penny is not automatically worth thousands or millions. The real excitement comes from its condition, color, strike, and whether you discover something unusual. So before you throw this old penny back into a jar, stay with me, because we're going to look at exactly what makes a 1957 D wheat penny interesting. The 1957 D Lincoln Wheat Penny was produced at the Denver Mint, and more than 1 billion examples were struck. PCGS records the mintage at 1,051,342,000 coins. That means this is not one of the rarest Lincoln Wheat Penny dates. But don't let that number fool you. In coin collecting, rarity isn't always about the date alone. Condition can completely change the story. The coin itself is part of the famous Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which ran from 1909 through 1958. On the front, you'll see Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the words "In God We Trust" above his head, liberty beside the portrait, and the date 1957. But the most important little detail for today's video is the letter D. Look closely underneath the date. See that tiny D? That tells you the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. And this is exactly why you should never check only the date on an old penny. The mint mark can be just as important. Now flip the coin over. You'll see the famous wheat reverse, with 2 wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top are the words EPLURBUSUNUM. That wheat reverse is one of the reasons these old Lincoln cents remain so popular with collectors. Every time you see those 2 wheat stalks, you're looking at a piece of an earlier era of American coinage. But now let's get to the question everyone wants answered. How much is a 1957 D wheat penny worth? The honest answer is, it depends. A heavily circulated 1957 D penny can be a relatively inexpensive collectible, but a sharply preserved coin with attractive color and very few marks can bring considerably more. PCGS currently lists the 1957 D in several color categories, including brown, red-brown, and red. This matters because copper coins naturally change color over time, and collectors generally place a premium on attractive original red examples in high grades. And this is where your old penny gets interesting. Take a close look at the color. Is it dark brown? Is it reddish brown? Or does it still have a strong original red appearance? Don't try to make a brown penny red by cleaning it. That's a huge mistake. Never use polish, chemicals, toothpaste, or abrasive materials on a collectible coin. Cleaning can damage the original surface and may reduce the coin's desirability to collectors. Instead, leave the coin exactly as you found it. Now look at the surface. Are there lots of scratches? Are Lincoln's cheek and jaw heavily worn? Are the wheat lines weak? Does the coin have dark spots or carbon marks? Or does it still look sharp and bright? These details can make a major difference. PCGS specifically notes that high-grade 1957 D cents are much more difficult to find than ordinary circulated examples. Its rarity information estimates roughly 14,000 surviving examples at MS60 or better, and about 7,000 at MS65 or better, showing why condition becomes increasingly important at the higher grades. And here's something that may surprise you. A 1957 D penny doesn't have to be an extremely old coin to become collectible. It can be valuable because of preservation. Imagine two 1957 D pennies sitting next to each other. Both have the same date. Both have the same D mint mark. Both came from the same general issue. But one has been carried around for decades. It has scratches, wear, dull color, and contact marks. The other has sharp details, strong original color, and almost no visible damage. They may look like the same coin to a beginner. To a collector, they can be completely different coins. That's why you should never judge a wheat penny only by its age. Now let's talk about the big money claims you often see online. You may see headlines saying a 1957 D wheat penny is worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. Be careful. Those headlines can be extremely misleading. A normal 1957 D penny is not automatically a fortune. However, exceptional certified examples can bring surprisingly strong prices compared with their 1-cent face value. PCGS records an auction result of $6,600 for a 1957 D Lincoln Cent graded MS 67 plus RD in 2019. That's a real example of how condition can transform an ordinary-looking penny into a serious collectible. So if someone tells you every 1957 D penny is worth thousands of dollars, that's simply not correct. But if you have an exceptionally preserved example, that's when you should pay attention. Now here's what I want you to do if you have one. Put the penny under good lighting. Start with the date. Confirm that it says 1957. Then look underneath. Confirm the D mint mark. Next, flip it over and inspect the wheat reverse. Look closely at the wheat stalks and lettering. Then examine the entire surface. Look for unusual doubling, unusual die characteristics, major mint-made errors, or anything that appears genuinely different from a normal example. But remember, a scratch is not automatically an error. A dent is not automatically an error. A stain is not automatically an error. Damage that happened after the coin left the mint is completely different from a genuine mint error. If you think you've discovered something unusual, don't immediately sell it based on a social media post. Compare it with reliable references and consider professional authentication if the coin appears genuinely significant. And most importantly, don't clean it. The original surface is part of the coin. Now let's take one final look at why the 1957 D wheat penny is worth checking. It's an American Lincoln wheat sent from the final years of the Wheat Reverse series. It was struck at the Denver Mint. It has the famous wheat design. It has a huge original mintage, so the date itself isn't exceptionally rare. But exceptionally high-grade examples are much more difficult to find. And that's the secret. The date gets your attention. The condition determines how interesting the coin becomes. So the next time you find a 1957 D wheat penny, don't just see 1 cent. Look at the date. Look at the D. Look at the color. Look at the details. Look at the surface. And look for anything unusual. Because most 1957 D wheat pennies won't make you rich overnight, and it's important to be realistic about that. But a truly exceptional example can be worth far more than its 1 cent face value. That's what makes coin hunting so exciting. You don't need to find $1 million coin to have a great discovery. Sometimes finding a beautifully preserved old penny is enough to make you stop and ask, how did this survive in such amazing condition? So before you spend that 1957 D Lincoln wheat penny, give it one more look. Because the tiny letter D, the color, the condition, and the smallest details could tell you much more than the 1 cent denomination ever could. The coin too. Stop before you spend that old 1946 Lincoln Wheat penny. Take a close look at it. Most people see an old 1-cent coin and think it is only worth a few cents. But with Wheat pennies, the date is only the beginning. The mint mark, color, condition, surface, and any genuine mint error can completely change the collector interest. And here's the part you don't want to miss. A 1946 penny can look ordinary, while an exceptionally preserved example can bring far more than its 1-cent face value. So before you throw yours into a coin jar or spend it, let's find out exactly what you should be checking. The 1946 Lincoln Wheat penny belongs to one of America's most famous coin series. Lincoln Wheat cents were produced from 1909 through 1958, and the 1946 issue came just after the end of World War II. The coin features Abraham Lincoln on the front and the famous 2 wheat stalks on the reverse. The 1946 Philadelphia issue has no mint mark, and the Philadelphia Mint produced 991,655,000 examples. Denver produced 315,690,000, and San Francisco produced 198,100,000. So if your 1946 penny has no mint mark, that does not mean something is missing. It means it was struck in Philadelphia. Now look directly underneath the date. If you see a small d, you have the Denver issue. If you see an S, you have the San Francisco issue. And if there is no letter, you're looking at the Philadelphia issue. This tiny detail is one of the first things every wheat penny collector should check. Now flip the coin over. You'll see the classic wheat reverse. 2 wheat ears frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, while EPLURBUSUNUM appears above them. That design is one of the reasons wheat pennies remain so popular today. They are old enough to have history, common enough for beginners to find, and interesting enough that collectors still search through them. But here's where your 1946 penny can become much more interesting. Condition. Don't just ask, how old is my penny? Ask, how well did my penny survive? Imagine 2 1946 wheat pennies sitting next to each other. Both have the same date. Both are genuine. Both are 1-cent coins. But one has been circulating for decades. It has scratches, worn details, dark spots, and contact marks. The other is sharply preserved with strong details, attractive original color, and very few marks. To someone who doesn't collect coins, they may look almost identical. To a serious collector, they can be completely different coins. PCGS records several color categories for the 1946 Philadelphia cent, including brown, red-brown, and red. That color designation can matter significantly when you're talking about high-grade copper coins. So take a close look at your penny. Is it brown? Is it reddish-brown? Does it still have strong original red color? And whatever you do, don't try to clean it. This is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. They find an old penny and think, if I make it shiny, it will be worth more. Usually, that's exactly the wrong approach. Don't use toothpaste. Don't use metal polish. Don't use chemicals. Don't scrape the surface. Don't aggressively rub it with a cloth. A collectible coin's original surface is important, and cleaning can permanently damage it. Leave the coin as you found it. Now let's talk about value. A normal circulated 1946 wheat penny is generally not a rare fortune coin. Current reference values show ordinary examples can be worth only a small premium depending on condition and mint. But that doesn't mean you should ignore a high-quality example. PCGS records an auction result of $14,950 for a 1946 Lincoln cent graded MS-67. That's an excellent example of why condition matters so much. It doesn't mean every 1946 penny is worth thousands. It means an exceptionally preserved, professionally graded example can be a very different collectible from an ordinary circulated penny. So when you see a headline claiming that every 1946 wheat penny is worth thousands or millions, don't believe it immediately. Ask one simple question. What exact coin are they talking about? What mint? What grade? What color? What variety? What era? And was the price actually achieved at auction? Those questions separate real coin collecting from internet hype. Now let's examine the coin for possible problems. Look closely at the date. Check the numbers. Look around the letters in Liberty and in God we trust. Then examine the reverse. Look at the wheat stalks and lettering. You're looking for something that appears genuinely unusual and potentially connected to the minting process. But remember, not every strange-looking mark is an error. A scratch is not automatically a mint error. A dent is not automatically a mint error. A stain is not automatically a mint error. Damage that happened after the coin left the mint is completely different from a genuine production error. So if you believe you've found something unusual, don't immediately sell it because someone online says it's worth a fortune. Protect the coin. Compare it with known examples. And if the feature appears significant, professional authentication may be worthwhile. Now here's another reason the 1946 issue is interesting. It was produced immediately after the wartime years when U.S. cents had temporarily been made from zinc-coated steel in 1943. By 1946, the mint had returned to the traditional copper-based composition used for the Lincoln cent. PCGS lists the 1946 cent as 95% copper and 5% zinc, with a weight of 3.11 grams. So this little penny isn't just an old piece of money. It's part of the story of America's transition from wartime coinage back to normal production. And that's what makes searching wheat pennies so much fun. You aren't only searching for a high price. You're searching for history. You're searching for condition. You're searching for varieties. And sometimes, you're searching for something the original owner never realized was special. Now imagine finding a 1946 penny in an old jar. It looks dirty. The color isn't perfect. You almost throw it back. But then you notice the details are unusually sharp. The wheat lines are strong. Lincoln's portrait has very little wear. The surfaces look surprisingly clean. And suddenly, you realize this may deserve a much closer examination. That is exactly why you should never judge a coin from across the room. Look closer. Use good lighting. Check both sides. Check the mint mark. Study the color. Study the surfaces. And never clean it just because it looks old. Now let's make the value question simple. If your 1946 wheat penny is heavily circulated, don't expect a life-changing fortune. If it's a nice uncirculated coin, its collector interest can be higher. If it's an exceptional high-grade coin with beautiful original color, the value can increase dramatically. And if you discover a genuine, recognized mint error or important variety, that's when the coin deserves even more attention. That's the real secret. The date alone doesn't make the coin valuable. The combination of date, mint, condition, color, rarity, and authenticity tells the real story. So before you spend your 1946 Lincoln wheat penny, give it one final inspection. Look at the date. Look for a D. Look for an S. Or check whether there is no mint mark. Flip it over and examine the wheat reverse. Look carefully at the color and surfaces. And if you see something that doesn't look normal, don't rush. Set the coin aside. Protect it. Investigate it. Because most 1946 wheat pennies are not going to make you a millionaire overnight. and it's important to be honest about that. But a truly exceptional example can be worth dramatically more than 1 cent. And that's why this little Lincoln wheat penny is still worth checking. You never know what condition a coin has survived in until you actually look. So the next time someone hands you an old 1946 penny, don't immediately spend it. Turn it over. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Study the color. Examine the details. And remember, sometimes the difference between an ordinary old penny and a serious collectible isn't the age. It's the condition and the tiny details hiding in plain sight.